Thank you. Welcome back. We move on to item 10, the Pension Fund Performance Monitoring and Update for the quarter ending 31st of March 2022 and other matters. Bridget.
Okay, so most of the recommendations in this paper are for noting. I'm happy to take any questions on those, but the recommendations around approving, I will just cover. One is the Darwin Bereavement Fund, which members received a presentation on a while back, and the suitability review has now been delivered, and the recommendation is to approve an allocation of 5 million to the Darwin Bereavement Fund. The next one is also a presentation which members received a while back for the Temporis Impact Fund, and that's to come from a 1% allocation, strategic allocation we've got to impact. We had three propositions that were presented to members. One is the Henley Fund, which is the supported housing fund. We have since approved that, and we have since invested, and actually they've drawn down about 9% of the commitment. With the private funds, what happens is you make a commitment, and because it takes time to invest, they draw that money over time. So you're not always fully invested for a few years or months. Again, there's a recommendation to top up an investment in private debt. So again, private debt is an investment which we've made. We have a 5% allocation. What happens with private debt is, again, you make the commitment, they draw down, but as they get repaid, you start to get the money back. So you start to become less than your 5% allocation. So one of the recommendations is to top up the fund with 10 million to one of our existing private debt managers in their new fund. Again, there's a suitability review for that, and this Churchill Fund. If I go back to Churchill, what happened with that investment? We invested as a collaboration with 5 other funds, and we got very competitive fees at the time. And since then, 4 of the other funds have since topped up into this fund 4 with Churchill, and Ealing are just the only ones who haven't. So we've now got this suitability review carried out with Hyman's looking at our strategic asset allocation and determining that we should make a further allocation of 10 million just to bring us back. Again, that 10 million will not be drawn down on day one. It will be drawn down over time. So that's where we are. Otherwise,
Chair, shouldn't we add in the proviso? I don't know.
I haven't got to that yet.
Right. Okay.
No.
so unless you've got any other questions, I've not got anything else to highlight, particularly in this report.
Okay, thank you. Before we discuss, I want to propose and slight amendment to 1.9 on Temporis, to, if I'm not in breach of any confidentiality in referring to particular items, that we were to add to the end, approve £5 million allocation as recommended, following suitability due diligence review, and on receipt of confirmation of Temporis's appointment of an independent member of its investment committee and an auditor for the fund. So I'll put in that, if that amendment is acceptable to people, to the panel, yeah. So we'll proceed to consider the paper with that amendment in place. Any comments or questions on the paper other than that? So we're content with the recommendations. We're content to note the other items. Agreed? Great, thank you. Moving us forward, the item 11, the pension fund accounts. Bridget.
Okay, so what it is again, unless you've got questions, is we have got the draft accounts. They have not been audited yet. This is not the full pension fund annual report. That comes with lots of other aspects, but this is really the accounts for noting at this stage. It will come back with the full annual report at the next meeting.
Noted. Thank you. Which takes us through to date of next meeting, which, because of the shift in our timetable, is as soon as the 28th of September, 2022. Unless you're notified otherwise. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Councillor Ball. Split or Dubrovnik?
A little village down the coast from Split.
Oh, but well, do enjoy yourself. Thank you for taking the time to join us.